Regardless of how interested or invested you are in Anthem, whether you love the game or hate it, the Destiny and Warframe comparisons are going to come flooding in, especially the former. When people bring up the comparison, I can really take or leave certain people's opinions, but what I didn't expect is to see the developers commenting on this. So in this video we're going to take a look at what the developer said when asked about the Destiny comparisons. Not only that, we have some pretty big news to cover this week, so we're going to do it all in a very nice rounded up fashion, and I've also got some pretty big news myself. My name is Ryan Central, and at the moment we have a campaign going to try and hit 5,000 subscribers before the start of 2019 in a couple of weeks. So if you haven't subbed already and you are interested in more Anthem related content, then do subscribe, it would mean the world to me, and we may have some giveaways to celebrate hitting 5k for 2019. Also, I have some pretty big news. I can officially say that I'm now part of the EA Game Changers for Anthem. This means that I get hands-on opportunities to try out the game and take part in certain campaigns, one of which was last week. I was flown to Stockholm by EA to play the game from the DICE Studios. No, I know DICE don't make the game, but because it's EA, that's where they set us up to be able to try out some certain stuff in the game. Right now, the only thing that I can tell you is that I was there, but there will be future content coming out in inverted commas soon. And none of this would have happened if it wasn't for you guys subscribing and supporting me the way that you have. But I won't waffle on for too much longer, as I want to go over what Jonathan Warner had to say about the Destiny comparisons, which we'll go over now. This was an interview with the game's director Jonathan Warner and lead producer Mike Gamble, and this article was from Entertainment Weekly, and you can check out the whole thing in the description if you wanted to. We'll get straight into the main question. How do you feel about the comparisons to Destiny? Are they upsetting or flattering? Where did they start to fall apart for you? Jonathan Warner then says, "It doesn't upset me. I think people like to pattern match, and this genre of games is relatively new, so people are going to make those comparisons as they try to understand what it is and what it isn't. For me, the comparisons start to fall apart really rapidly. That agency and freedom that we give you, not locking you to one class, allowing you to choose what javelin you want to take out at any given time. It really starts to make it feel different and special. When you have your hands on a controller or you leap up into the air and start flying freely in the environment for the first time, I think that's when most people kind of get it. Then beyond that, bringing out storytelling, what we call Our World, My Story, is the place where we're allowing you to engage the story at a pace that you find comfortable, and to be able to make decisions at all the things inside of your narrative space, while allowing us to still share a big open world." It's a fairly straightforward and not really spicy comment coming out of Jonathan Warner on the comparisons. This isn't the first time that an Anthem developer has actually commented on Destiny and the comparisons. This Reddit post came a full year ago from Biggie DX. The first question was, when it comes to Anthem's duration and gameplay mechanics, how significantly is BioWare looking into the failures and successes of games such as Destiny and The Division when going through development? Brennan Holmes, who you can see the big text is the technical design director, says both of the games you list are in the competitive space for Anthem, so yes, we're looking at all aspects of those games. Generally, we look to have mentor games for specific features. We try to learn from what a particular game has done well and what could be improved. Now this ties on really nicely to the stream that we saw on Thursday talking about loot and progression, and we know that Jonathan Warner especially is taking a real fancy to how Diablo approaches progression and loot, and you can definitely tell that it's had an inspiration, to say the least, on how Anthem handles its content. I feel that the criticism that Anthem is somewhat similar to Destiny is fair, but to say that it's a Destiny clone just isn't true. I feel like Anthem closely resembles Warframe more than it does Destiny, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. There's a lot of things that I think BioWare can do a lot better than both Destiny and Warframe combined. But I think the key thing that came out of all of this is the fact that BioWare are looking at these games and drawing comparisons, but I feel that they're looking at what Destiny and Warframe do badly. I'm not going to shit all over Destiny at this point, but most of us know the common problems that are brought up with this game, the cost, the constant expansions that, cost actual money. And Warframe is a really good game, but it can be really confusing and difficult to get into because it's a very extensive and in-depth game. That doesn't make it bad, of course, but AAA games tend to be a little bit more easier to pick up for the more casual audience. But you also have The Division, which I've personally never played, which I should do to be fair. You of course have the other BioWare games such as Mass Effect and Dragon Age, and how the RPG elements feed into Anthem. And then of course, the grandfather of the looter shooter, Borderlands. Man, I would love an online Borderlands game, that'd be amazing. Maybe one day. This is pretty much all I want to sort of say on the subject, to be honest, but there is some other big news that I wanted to go over when it comes to Anthem and all of the big stuff this week. Now, speaking of money, I do want to go over the last article in this video. This is something that Mike Gamble said about how Anthem wants to approach whales. And these are big spending players that spend a lot of money in these games. Overwatch has had quite a few of them. Players that seem to have that cash around that they're willing to throw money at the game in order to improve. Of course, there's no loot boxes in Anthem, again, to be very clear, because people like to make shit up. And also, all of the things that you can buy with real life money is purely cosmetic. You can't buy weapons or components or anything like that. It's just how you look. So it's all for vanity purposes. But in any case, this is BioWare's response on how they won't be reliant on big spending whales for the success of the game. When pressed if Gamble thinks BioWare needs these kind of players for Anthem to succeed, Gamble's immediate reply was, "I don't think so." Anthem is hoping to attract as many players as possible, make the pool as wide as possible to support the game for as long as possible. So even if we don't have lots of people spending lots of money, we're hoping the economy is such that we have the number of people who can support the game. Having whales is great, but we don't really cater towards that particular group. Some people have more time than others, some people have less time than others, and that's just where we leave it. We want to support matchmaking where you don't have to know 6 people on Reddit to play the game, which is definitely some shade thrown Destiny's way. I feel that it's one of the barriers into getting into these kind of games. We've tried to design a game that we felt we could get into. We could take that extra step and say, you know, this is actually fun playing with somebody else. So over the last couple of weeks, we have seen a lot from the game. Thought-to-assist, the customization, the personalization, a lot of big aspects of what's going to keep players playing the game. In terms of tweets and other bits of news, there isn't really an awful lot to go over. One thing that I spotted when making this video was that you can make multiple freelancers, which we knew already, but will you be able to exchange loot between our freelancers via a stash or vault? Mark Dara says no, but Mike Gamble does say that there are many things that when you unlock apply to all of your pilots. We will get you a list before launch of such things. And as I said, in terms of tweets, there hasn't been a lot of big news. The majority of it came out with the customization livestream, which we did a recap of. We will have more news videos coming up, an extensive look at the build that Darren ran on the livestream, going over some of the masterwork traits and how it all came together, which should give you a good indication on how future build videos, which I'm really keen on doing, will work. And of course, all of the content coming out of the trip to Stockholm to play the game, which I can't talk about when, but soon, TM. Hopefully you enjoyed this breakdown. Thank you very much for the support. I'm very excited to hopefully hit 5,000 subs before the end of this year. And until next time, I'll see you very soon. Take care.